Hi, I'm Joe Paiva. I'm a land surveyor and a consultant to the geomatics industry, primarily to manufacturers regarding hardware and software development processes and marketing. But I also teach a lot of seminars to practitioners. I teach in a university setting now and then. And another big piece of my work is writing editorial opinions in magazines, especially POB magazine, with whom I have a regular column talking about professional topography, to use the correct name of that column. What I'm going to talk about today is what happens when GIS is not wholeheartedly integrated into the land surveying profession. I think we all recognize that GIS is not being universally adopted by land surveying businesses as an integral part of the activities they might perform. This tends to restrict their survey business in terms of the development of the business, the revenues it can generate, and the profits it can generate, and I've talked about this in another video clip. But what I'm talking about here is how it affects the profession and, in the end, society in general. So the first area has to do with the fact that if surveyors don't get involved in GIS, surveyors don't develop the reputation as the people to call upon when GIS work needs to be done. And there's many implications here. Just a couple would be that surveyors understand positioning better than GIS people. There are many times when GIS people have trouble reconciling a GIS framework, if you will, with the data that it is that they're trying to actually place on this framework. Surveyors are the experts to generate that database, that framework, that land base, if you will, that GIS might sit on. Yet another area that I commonly encounter is the fact that property boundary surveys are not pieces of a jigsaw. It's much more complicated than that. We have gaps, we have overlaps, we have inconsistent descriptions of the same line depending on which deed you look at and so forth. GIS people don't always understand this, and surveyors staying away from the realm of GIS don't help the practicing GIS professionals generate good quality information in their GIS. And if surveyors aren't the source that GIS professionals go to for this kind of information, then there's going to be less and less of that, and certainly the profession as a whole will never be recognized as the expert, the go-to people. Another area that you can say happens to the GIS profession is that if GIS is not adopted by the land surveying profession, more business that surveyors could take goes to non-surveyors. In other words, there's always work that potentially a surveyor could do. If a surveyor is not out there trying to get that work, then it's going to go to someone else. It's not that it doesn't get done, someone else does it. So there's more and more work that is legitimately in the realm of what a surveyor could practice that goes to other people. Sometimes it's new businesses that spring up. Sometimes it's other specialties that take on this extra work because there's nobody else to fit the bill. They develop specializations, they develop knowledge, or they might not develop any at all, which means they may be doing this work relatively incompetently, or at least with the potential to be incompetent, where a surveyor perhaps might not be. But the end point is that people recognize surveyors less and less as the people to whom they should take this work. Yet another area is that surveyors then don't get called, then don't become the trusted advisor on the subject if advice is needed. So if surveyors are not the people who are called upon when a trusted advisor is needed on particular subjects within GIS, that means they're no longer considered, and that has an effect on the entire profession, and I would maintain on society as well. And finally, the quality of a GIS used by many professionals tends to get reduced if surveyors are not involved in the process of helping to create these GISs. It depends on where the surveyor can get involved, whether it's on the land base, providing advice on cadastral fitting of parcels, whatever it is. If surveyors are consistently not involved in that process, it may be that there's a surveyor doing it in the state of Washington. It may be there's a surveyor doing it in Indiana. But if there's a particular locality where surveyors are not thought of as the people to help solve these problems, then they don't get considered, that they don't help to refine the quality of those GISs. It reduces the quality of the GIS. It also reduces the stature, if you will, of land surveyors in helping to resolve those issues and to understand how to better avoid them in the future. Thanks for listening.